What up guys, SuperMetal983 here bringing us another album review, and this time I've got a very violent release for you to check out. If you're into your deathcore or your hardcore, this is definitely for you. But yeah, I'm going to be reviewing the new Extortionist album entitled Sever the Chord. This is released under Stay Recordings. Now, if you aren't too familiar with Extortionist, they are a deathcore, hardcore sort of band hailing from the US, and I first got introduced to this band back in, I think it was 2014, with the release of their debut EP entitled The Black Sheep. Now, if you haven't heard that release, make sure you do so. It is an excellent down-tempo release, straight up deathcore, down-tempo sort of stuff. It was right in the prime of when down-tempo was starting to become a massive deal, basically, and yeah, it's one of the best of the earlier starting points of down-tempo, so make sure you check it out. But then we fast forward to 2017 with the arrival of their debut album entitled The Decline, which is this one right here. And this is a fantastic album. If you haven't heard this, make sure you do so. Check this out. I think it was late 2017, early 2018. I was kind of late at the party, but yeah, this is an excellent album. It's still has that kind of deathcore, hardcore sort of hybrid going on in there, but it's still got the down tempo and big down in there for good measure. But in general, it's a violent album, definitely, so make sure you check it out if you haven't already. Excellent stuff. But now we'll get to present day with the arrival of their second album, Sever the Chord, and as I said, this is released under Stay Recordings. Now, it's 12 tracks and runs around 38 minutes in length, and I'm going to straight away say it right now for you that this album right here, Extortionist, Sever the Chord, is so far my album of the year for 2019. It has overtaken Traitors as being my favourite of so far this year. I love every aspect of this album. A little bit of a spoiler there, but what can you do? But yeah, I love every aspect that's going forth from this album, from the heavy, meaty, chunky riffs that are on here, to the massive sound and production, to the aggressive, hate-filled vocals, and then dwelling on top of that, we have an introduction of cleans on this album, and not just any variant cleans. So we've got a bit of a mix of like harsher sort of half scream sort of vocals in there, but then you've also got these kind of nu-metal influence parts in there that kind of remind me a lot of KoRn, like the early days, and even the vocals on there kind of remind us of Jonathan Davis a little bit. So if that sounds up your alley, you definitely need to check out this album, because I feel like this album has a lot of likability to it, and that's why I feel like so far it is my album of the year for 2019. I just love everything that is on this album. I mean, every song on this album kills so much. Starting off with the first track, which is Bad Vibes, which I believe was the second single that they released from this album. It might have been the first, I'm not too sure. It was the first or second, I know that for sure. But yeah, that track as an intro is absolutely fantastic, if you ask me. It sets up the album beautifully. It has every element culminating in this song, from the aggressive riff heaviness on there and the massive sound and production, but then cutting into some, like, as if follow the leader sort of era KoRn element in there, and it's like really, it makes you go, ooh, that it's very tasteful, but very elegantly executed. And then when it kicks into the like half screamy sort of power monolithicness kind of chorusy bit, it's just like, oh my god, that is just sheer majesty that you hear there. And quite frankly, I think it's absolutely incredible to bestow yourself upon that song. And then you cut into the second song, which is Chokehold, which is easily one of the most violent songs on this album. And this one will definitely start a riot, if you ask me, with sheer fucking impactful beatdowns and hard-hitting riffs, left, right and centre. You can't shake it off. You are just going to get assaulted when you listen to that track. And then following that through, Death Remains and Stray Dogs, it continues the assault. It just never lets go. This is a literal fight that you listen to. It's sheer utter violence, left, right and centre. You're just not letting go at that point. And then you get to, which is my favourite song on this album, which is the fifth track, which is called Pressure. Now, this song really surprised me, I'm not going to lie. It kind of has a bit of a more epic, more powerful sort of approach to it, where it kind of feels a little bit more of an elegance to it, and a bit more of a, I'm going to use this a little bit loosely, but a bit beautiful in essence, but we're going to get to that beautiful song in a second. But yeah, that is definitely the power and emotion that is withheld on that song from the cleaner, harsh vocals, you know, the half-scream sort of vocals on that track. It just emanates so much wow factor, if you ask me, and that just took me breath away. It's unbelievable. And then that flows into No Soul, and then one of the most violent songs on this album, along with Chokehold, definitely has to be Low Like You, which I believe was the first song or the second song. I know it was Bad Vibes or Low Like You. I can't remember which way around it was, because I checked them out at the exact same time when I went to check it out. But yeah, that song, epic song. It's just so powerful, and just when the breakdown comes in, it's just like, oh, it just makes you want to punch things really hard and get you really, fucking pumped up and filled with energy that you just want to let loose. It's just unbelievable to hear, if you ask me. And then we get to the really unique song on this album, and this was kind of like the selling point for me, and what made us go, yep, this has to be my album of the year, and that was Intuition Knows. That song is an absolute mesmerizer of a song. It is, and I'll use the term loosely, beautiful on pressure. This song, Intuition Knows, is an absolute beautiful masterpiece of a song. It's definitely took me breath away, and definitely has that kind of new metal sort of atmosphere on there, and it's just serenades you. It's like kind of like feels like an interlude, but it breaks up the album very nicely, and just it makes you just go, wow, what am I listening to here? But then you follow up with World of Deceit and Sever the Cord, which those two tracks are unbelievable, but in particular the title track, Sever the Cord, when it comes in with that Extortionist 2019, and then it just fades out, and then just punches you in the face yet again, and you're just like, oh, it just hits that sweet spot to make your hairs stand on end. It's mesmerizing to listen to, if you ask me. And then you follow into the last two tracks, Pain and Separation. I'll get there eventually. And then The Ones You Love Will Leave. And you just think, at the end of that, you're just like, wow, that was an absolute breathtaking experience. And this is definitely insinuates that a lot, if you ask me. But yeah, the production is massive sounding on this album. It's huge, it's powerful, it's chunky, it's just loud and proud. That's the only way I can describe this album. This gives me the overwhelming sensation that Malevolence Self-Supremacy did back in 2017, and that, as we know now, is my favourite album of all times. And this one reminds me of that album, and I think that's why I've made such a strong connection with it, because it's not just this other deathcore album, it's not this other hardcore album, it's a very unique sounding album, and it's one of a kind, if you ask me, and that, I think, is an amazing factor to this album, with the chunky, riff-heavy guitars, the massive sounding drums, especially that snare on this album is just something, just pummeling. It feels like a fist pounding in your face every time it's hit, and quite frankly, it is breathtaking, if you ask me. And then the harsher vocals definitely on this album. There's a few elements and moments on this album that kind of put me in mind of Winston McCall of Parkway Drive, and I'm talking about like the mid sort of early era, somewhere between there. The harsher vocals definitely remind a lot of pronunciation in his voice, but he's very low and very monstrous sounding. But then, as I said, when those mighty sounding half screams come in, and then the new metal screams just give it that really unique sort of twist that's nowhere near a new metalcore album. It's a deathcore hardcore sort of album with beatdown, down-tempo and new metal influences sprinkled in for good measure wherever they feel like it, and this just makes the album very unique, if you ask me. Highlighted tracks for me definitely are Bad Vibes, Chokehold, Pressure, Low Like You, Intuition Knows, and the title track, Sever the Cord. So if you want something to check out, this is definitely an album you need to check out. I'd recommend, if you're a fan of The Last 10 Seconds of Life, the Acacia strain, Malevolence, Bodysnatcher, Hatebreed, or even KoRn. If you're a fan of any of those bands, this is definitely for you. Trust me. Give it a chance. Released from the Stay Secret recordings, Sever the Cord by Extortionist. And for that reason alone, I'm going to give this album a solid 10 out of 10. Absolutely amazing album, breathtaking album. I just need to pick it up on CD, but unfortunately, Stay Secret recordings don't deliver in Europe, which is unfortunate, but hopefully in the future they'll sort out an EU distribution, I don't know, through Impericon or something, I don't know, but fingers crossed they do, because I want to pick this up on CD, and maybe some nice merch of them. We'll see what happens in the upcoming future, but make sure you check out Extortionist, Sever the Cord. It is a fantastic album, and so far, my album of the year. And I'll see you until the next video, and remember, stay metal, and I'll see you later.